What's up, everybody? Hope everybody is doing well. We got this thing jamming, I see. Glad to see everybody's here. No Crown and Coke today, so we'll have to mix it up. Paul Jones, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So it's been a while since I've done a live stream. It's been a while since I've really done anything very similar to this. So we'll have to give it some time. We'll give it a few minutes, and then I'll go over some questions. I didn't print them out. I have them here. I did not do any research on any of these questions. I saw some of them, but yeah, it's going to be something. So this is the first time I've ever used Google Hangouts, I believe. So if somebody wants to just tell me if they can hear me properly, that would be fantastic. And then I'll take one of these drinks and we'll fire up some questions. What's going on, Cunningham? So, all right. So somebody told me that I seem to be perfectly fine. So let's jump into some questions. I got the 75-gallon. It's a community tank for Lake Tanganyika, but the problem is there's tropheus in it. And I don't recommend that. They're actually going to be coming out here sometime this week, and then I'm going to put them in their own enclosure, their own smaller aquarium. And I've got some other fish coming, which is going to be pretty neat. It's going to be fun. So everybody that's in here, I really appreciate you taking some time out. Let me jump right to one of the questions on Instagram. And that question was, what is the significance of feeding every other day as opposed to every day? So there's many different ways you can feed your fish. It's completely up to you. However, I find that feeding every other day or skipping a few days throughout the week does a really good job, especially when you're feeding a bunch of different foods, or if you're feeding a pelleted food. It seems to just do much better for the fish's digestive system. Because you have to remember, when the fish were first created, however you want to believe they were created, they weren't created to constantly take food 3 times a day for 2 to 3 minutes. So that's why I do that every other day. If you feed them every day, I wouldn't feed them 3 times a day every day, because you're going to have a ton of different things you're going to be combating. That is water quality. The fishes just are going to be so unhealthy depending on what the food you're feeding. They could get sick much faster. So there's a lot of different issues that play a role. So that's why I feed every other day. Lately, I've been feeding 1 time a day to these guys just because they are gregarious eaters. And there's a lot of current in there, and so they seem to be burning off some of the food. Crown and Coke already? No, this is a twisted tea. I guess this could be considered a woman's drink for some. If Jonathan Straczynski was in here, he'd make fun of me. Are you going to the Keystone Clash I've been hearing about? As of right now, no. There's not a way that I can swing it. It would be awesome to show up. I think it's going to be a great event. I think this is the 5th year. And if you don't know about the Keystone Clash, just type in Keystone Clash in Facebook. Check out the event. They got some really great speakers. And it looks like it's going to be a wonderful time. A lot of people come in from Canada. It's in New England. So you'll get well, it's in Pennsylvania, but it's pretty damn close. And you'll get a ton of people that are going to show up to this event. So to me, that's pretty snazzy. Hey, can you help a bristlenose pleco to eat when peacocks and haps strap their algae wafers or snatch their algae wafers? Here's the funny thing. That's another reason why people say do not put plecos or things like that really don't necessarily belong with Africans because of that reason. However, I've only kept bristlenose or bushy nose plecostomus, but I have never specifically fed that fish. They survive. They eat. There's algae. There's things that build up everywhere. So they'll eat scraps and things like that. So that's not an issue to me, but it can be an issue for some. Let's get right to the nitty gritty. I got a text message from somebody and they said, what is your biggest regret when it comes to the fish hobby? My biggest regret. as far as biggest regret, I would say believing everyone is a real friend, a true friend. Now, everybody that comes on here, I appreciate. You guys are awesome. It's fantastic to see you and communicate with you. But when you peel back the layers at the end of the day, you're not calling me to chat about some struggles, and I'm not necessarily calling you to chat about struggles. But I guess in my head, I thought because I was communicating with you on a daily basis, or because I thought we had some sort of friendship, that we were friends. And I think I've clouded that judgment a lot and found out that, you know, there are real people, and then there are people that portray themselves to be a certain way, and they're not. That's a crappy part here. So that's tough. But yeah, I would say thinking everybody is a true friend. Now, I'm not saying none of you are, but I'm just saying in general, thinking everybody is a true friend, it'll hurt at some point. The best way I can put it. And then the second part of that question is, what is, in your opinion, the best thing you've done for the hobby? I've never I don't have like a board that goes, hey, I did this. All right. I did this. All right. I don't have anything like that. I guess I would say when it comes down to it, bringing awareness and trying to make things easier, and taking this vast community of ultimately the largest kept animal in the world, and then break it down into African cichlids and try to make it as easy to understand as possible and be there for as many people as I can. But I think touching, this sounds really cheesy, but touching the lives of people in ways that you never thought you would, just from videos, silly fish videos, or just communicating with them, that to me is probably the coolest thing. When I lay it all out on a piece of paper, that's probably the reason why I still do it. Everybody's talking about a common pleco. Good night. Tank looks great behind you. I greatly appreciate that. In person, it looks pretty wicked. I had somebody here yesterday. I had some friends over yesterday. And while I pull up some questions, he came in, he stared at the tank for a few moments. I was waiting for, you know, you're pretty weird for keeping fish, or costs a lot of money, I bet. But no, he said, saltwater, right? Nope. One of the oldest lakes in the world, Lake Tanganyika. So it's pretty cool when you can take an environment and really flip the script on what people think is supposed to be. I've said this in some videos before. Everybody, when they're not in the fish keeping hobby, have preconceived notions about what it's about, and they're not even close. How big of a sports guy are you? I feel like you could have a channel where you give spreads on games. I don't get into it like that. I enjoy sports. I enjoy watching it because I really like competition. But at the end of the day, I don't pay attention to spreads, and I like who I like, and I probably couldn't be biased in that sense. But good question. Man, how do guys do different fonts and all this stuff? I was always told a hungry fish is a healthy fish. I guess so. Or what if you never feed them? They're always hungry. At some point, they probably won't be healthy. So let's get into some questions from Facebook. If you were riding down the road in your canoe and it was raining snowballs, how many nails would it take to brick your doghouse? 69, because it can go both ways. Hey, yo. I don't even know what kind of question that is. So I'm just going to say 69. That's how many it would take. Do the amount of phosphates in your water affect other water parameters? Honestly, I don't know. If I would guess, I would say yes, because we would end up causing something if it didn't already directly cause any issues. So if there were phosphates present and maybe your water was a little milky or cloudy, and you immediately think you have ammonia, so you start doing all these other things, and then you start fluctuating pH, GH, KH, and then your ammonia does some crazy stuff, and the cycle, the nitrifying bacteria are freaking out. So I don't think, I could be completely wrong. I don't think directly it is going to affect it, but I think indirectly it will, and I could be wrong. So if somebody knows this, please, please, please tell me. I'm really digging the Ninja Turtle stuff back there. It's better than the last house. It's looking lush. I skip feeding once in a while myself, but only mostly when I'm busy. Never saw ill effects. I mean, you won't. I don't feed twice a week. I fast them, clean out their digestive system. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you're keeping your fish alive, they look good, they're thriving, they're telling you every morning, good morning. I don't see why you should discipline them, and I don't see why you should change any of the things that you're doing. Is there a correlation between total dissolved solids in regards to other water parameters? I don't even test total dissolved solids, so I would say I have no clue. Mike, I have no clue. TDS is not something that I've ever really followed. If I don't have something specific, I go ahead and put it in there. If I do have something specific, then we're good to go. And most people will tell you to keep the fish that you can based upon the water supply that you have. But sometimes it doesn't work out for people, and they want to keep a specific fish. And if their water is not as high in pH and they need it, they're going to do what they want to do. And if they are truly keeping fish in the best possible manner, then keep doing you. Does pH get diluted after a water change? I set up a tank and you can tank last week with Holy Rock and hope that it helps with the hardiness and pH. So if you didn't watch last video, which was Friday's video, I talk all about pH and what happens with it. But to break it down really quick, your pH will fluctuate throughout the day. Your pH will then start to decrease over time. So the water changes actually help to stabilize the number wherever it was in the beginning. So I'm just going to throw out a number. If you had 7, throughout the week it starts to drop, and you do a water change, you're buffering itself back up to 7 because you're putting in more water with the same pH. So you're getting closer to that number. And as long as there's not maximum fluctuations, you're good. What does change pH, like you stated, is you've got a bunch of Holy Rock in there. Your substrate will change it slightly. You've got stuff that's breaking down in your aquarium. If your aquarium has plants or you're taking in sunlight, all of this stuff will directly affect your pH. Whether it's drastic or minimal, that remains to be seen. And I really think it just depends on you as a fish keeper and the size and type of fish that you're keeping on how fast that pH will fluctuate. But your pH will dilute over time, but the water change will actually help buffer it back. Now, if you're trying to achieve 8 and you're only replenishing 7, then you're buffering in some way, shape, or form to get it back up there. Does that make sense? But yeah, seriously, check that video out. I thought it came out good. I watched it. I don't watch any of my videos, but I wanted to make sure before I posted it that the information made sense. So that was probably one of the better videos I've done in a long time. Hey, Jay and Mindy, my question is, why is my wife always right? Melissa Pooley seems to always be right. Adam, only you can answer that question. You're the one that decided to marry her. So you knew that Melissa Pooley would always, and I state always, be right, no matter what. So she's always right because she is always right. How many species of fish exist on planet Earth? If I had to guess, I read something a while ago. I think they said there's like 15,000 and some change or plus freshwater species and probably 30,000 saltwater species. I'm guessing. I don't remember the exact number. So if I was to say something, I'd say there's at least 45,000 fresh and saltwater fish species. If we included sharks and whales and invertebrates and whatever else, shoot, we're probably closing in on 100,000 if I was thinking properly. But there's also science that backs that we're finding multiple different species every day because the depth of the ocean hasn't really been explored properly. So I think there was a prediction, maybe it was like 2040 or something like that, that there's supposed to be 2 million species that could potentially be found, but we may not know because those species may pass away, go extinct, because of various different reasons, to include all of the major things: climate change, warmer waters, pollution. What was the other one that I read? Acidic water. So we could lose them and we wouldn't know. I mean, I think that happens anywhere in the world. I think there are frog species and lizard species, snake species that we don't have the chance to ever discover just because we were a day late and a dollar short. Some fish even get reclassified. Yeah, there was this, I do remember, almost 50%. So they had like 400,000 of living creatures in the ocean, and it was cut in half when they reclassed them. So it was like a ridiculous number back that were reclassed, just to show you that there's many different fish, but maybe not as many species of fish as we once thought. And then there was something that they found, I believe it was some sort of crawfish or whatever, and they gave it a name and it was a new discovery, and lo and behold, nobody ever did research, and this Italian biologist found it in like the 1800s. There's some cool stuff out there, but don't be too busy getting sucked away with politics and crap. And share this now, and this young girl will receive $1 for every time you share this picture privately, and nobody sees it, and there's no links, and you will get $1 to her. Stop doing that stuff and educate yourself. That's the cool stuff. Nobody can take away what you know. You know, that's what's really neat. I have to make sure I don't accidentally ban Mindy. Yeah, don't ban my wife. That's not good. Gerald Wallace, looking lush. Thanks for coming in, brother. How many fish species exist on planet Mars? The answer is no one knows. We really don't. So I would say I have no idea. Possibly something that they're going to classify in the future as being on Mars. Do you have fish nightmares? Yes. There is a little bit of hesitation for the larger tank, and I don't know if you can see it. This blue line signifies the large tank. So ideally it goes underneath that futon. I have to find a place for, because it just becomes a spot for things and spots for animals. But it probably goes, I don't know, 1.5 feet under there, and it goes probably about 6 inches in on my desk, and the 75 will look like a dwarf. And then on this side, which you can't see, is where the 6-foot tank will go once I get a chance to paint the stand. And so my nightmare is, the hesitation is, I fill it up, and because ground settles like crazy here in Texas, we're either not here or we're here, and 700 plus gallons of water just, ugh. So anything can happen. I don't think it would happen. I'm trying to make sure I cross my T's and dot my I's, but yes, I have fish nightmares. I don't have nightmares of my fish just dying, because it seems every time I go away up until now, my fish would die in massive quantities. I lost all my haps. It really, really shook me mentally. Not in like one of those, you know, I'm never going to keep fishing again. It didn't break me like that. It broke me as saying, you know, like, what is the point of spending all this money? Excuse me. This sucks. And then when I lost most of the trophies, I mean, really I have 3 left. That sucked. That really, really sucked. And I don't think I thought about 100% getting out, but I thought about really, really, really getting down to it and saying, maybe I should just do a 75, leave the 75, and then just things started to just come back, and now I'm just in full mode, which is great. Should ammonia in your tank always remain 0? Well, John Edwards, that question for African cichlids is yes, because typically you have a higher pH, and ammonia will be way more toxic in a higher pH. If you are in a lower pH below 7, so below neutral, reading ammonia isn't going to be the end all be all, but anything over 7, yeah. So think about it like this. Like I said in the last video, 1 part per million at 7, let's say, is 0 in terms of the effectiveness on a fish. When you move to 8, it is 10 times the amount of impact it will have on your fish. 10 times the amount in a small environment. Think human, think in a closet, your air is perfectly fine. You've got carbon monoxide in there and you have a pH level of 7. Well, you start to change a little bit because you're solo in that closet and your pH level rises to 8. And now the carbon monoxide is 10 times more potent than it was at 7 pH. Does that make sense? So yes, you really have to pay attention to it when you're messing with African cichlids. 700 gallons would flush my life down the drain. It'd flush a lot of stuff down the drain. My big fish get thirsty for beer. I think that's why there's wet spots in front of my fridge every 4 days. You either have a prostate problem or you have a sloppy dog. So I lost 13 of my mbunas when I went on vacation last month. Man, I'm sorry, dude. Adam C, KG, what's up? Latest favorite fish. I'm still jonesing on Tropheus. I'm working on getting a not so popular Tropheus species. I still haven't talked about it. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be good. I really think it's going to be good. It's going to be something different. We don't see it. We're seeing too much of the same crap on YouTube. Too much of it. Too much of it on Facebook. Too much of it on Instagram. It's the same stuff. Myself included. The only thing I will not allow myself to do is get sucked into some of these fads. Some folks can keep amazing different things. Some folks only keep fish because it's fun, because they're getting the views. They're getting the likes. You know, you look at some guys that do this great stuff and they'll have these beautiful ponds, right? And then somebody throws up a swimming pool on a YouTube video. They've got good title. They've got, you know, good tags. And 4 years ago, this person posts this video and it means nothing. And now all of a sudden, because everybody is trying to jockey for a position on YouTube. If you're doing YouTube, do it for the passion of what you're doing. Don't do it because you're like, oh, numbers are on the rise. You're not a stock market. Because at the end of the day, there are not many people that are going to do YouTube for a career and for good. You're only doing it because you're getting some sort of ego-driven push. And anybody will tell you that. Any of the large YouTubers, when I say large YouTubers, I'm not talking about 15, 20, 40, 50, 100, 200, 500,000 subscribers. I'm talking about 1 million+ subscribers. Those are the bigger YouTubers. Those are the ones with the influence. They don't do it forever. They don't. And most of them will tell you that it's only temporary, so you have to understand how to diversify yourself. Diversifying yourself doesn't mean taking more of your time because you've got 75 $6 clear plastic bins from Home Depot and 75 different species of fish, so you can do different videos all the time. Lame. And now Siri's yelling at me because I just went off on a tangent and I apologize. Wrong channel. It's good to see you guys too. I do videos just for fun. Plus I've lost 10 pounds since and I'm not eating as much at night. Good. You're making yourself healthier and you're doing something you enjoy, which will keep you happier, which will keep you on the same track. That's what I'm talking about. I love Mbuna, but it seems like every channel is featuring a classic overstocked Mbuna. I have not seen that. So I skim through a lot of videos. I don't comment on a lot of stuff. People go, you know what? You go watch my videos. I'm never going to watch your videos. That's fine. I'm watching videos. I just don't comment and like and share every single one because ultimately you really can't. Because I do have a life and I enjoy my life. And I'm also contemplating going back to school. So, you know, there's only so much time in a day and you can't buy more. I'm I'm just here for the fish. No need to go Hollywood. Heck no. There really is no need. If you can do better quality videos and get education out there, that's all that matters. Wait, did he bust out a crying Coke? No, it's still the same twisted tea. I just keep drinking more of it and filling it up. Okay, so I have a new tank and only one, and new I'm having a hard time getting a cycle going through. Could my pH 6.0 or lower cause it not to grow? 100%. 100%, because ammonia is really present and you're freaking out when ammonia below 7 is not going to be super toxic. Now, the idea is you can still utilize products that will help you cycle your tank instantly. Folks, we live in a day and age where we don't have to wait months to cycle a tank. We don't have to pee in our aquariums to get ammonia. We don't have to do fishless cycles anymore because we have products like Chem Stability, like Fritz Turbo Start, like Dr. Tim's Bacteria in a Bottle. We have all of these things that are not going to affect us. Maybe they cost 12, 13 bucks, but they save us 4 weeks of time. And then pH is playing a role. So, I mean, I don't remember exactly what the pH is, and I don't say it right. I get hammered every time. Corridores. I don't even know if I just said it right, but everybody, you didn't say it right. You don't know how to pronunciate this. Well, people in America don't pronunciate a lot of stuff properly. Thank goodness I don't have to pee in my tank. I know. So aquarium can be expensive. Anyone have that issue? Any hobby you are truly passionate about is something that is simply going to take a lot of money and time. And evolving, you didn't have to do that. You know that I don't get down with that. So I appreciate that. So whether you do remote control cars, or you're in a motorcycle club, or you are in a computer club, or, well, if you were in a Bitcoin club, I'm sorry if you invested a lot of money. If you keep fish, if you keep reptiles, whatever the case is, you're going to spend money. Now, I will say the two cheapest freaking hobbies in the world are fish keeping and reptiles. We want to spend $1,000 on a specific species or breeding group or animal that we want. And we're like, and I'm not going to spend $25, not a penny more on an enclosure. Do you hear me? No, I don't. Because you just bought 40 fish and you don't want to spend more than 25 bucks. So you jump to Craigslist, you jump to Facebook Marketplace, and you're like, watch these local fish stores, rip-offs, $300 for an aquarium. Oh, look at that. 40 bucks for a 40-gallon. I'll take it for 15. Yeah, sure, come pick it up. It's in my garage. Gets it home a week later. Can anybody help me reseal a tank because this tank just busted? What a piece of crap. Yeah, I know. You get it? Sometimes you have to understand that, especially in the fish keeping hobby, the startup costs are going to be ridiculous. So I've done videos where I tell you to plan. Imagine if this was salt water. People just putting $100 stuff in there, and then they get up the next morning and they're like, well, that didn't work. Good grief. $100 just gone. Thanos just snapped it right out of your tank. Gerald Wallace, man, don't. I appreciate that, guys. So is every other hobby. What makes you happy, right? Yeah, as long as it is a legal and it's a community-driven hobby, and it's not detrimental or destructive to a relationship or destructive to your own life, because this can get that way. It could divide you from pretty much everything. Don't let it get that way. Take a step back at that moment. Let me get back to these questions because that's what we're here for. If you got questions, fire them up. Best hang on the back filter for a 55-gallon aquarium, Marineland BioWheel Emperor 400 or Marineland Penguin 350, any others. I'm adding a canister filter to the 55 also, but looking at an HOB as a secondary. So this is where I come into that, why an HOB at that price? Because I would say a Chem Title, Aqua Clear, Marineland, whatever suits your fancy. The BioWheel's got a nice little wheel, but for me, that thing is so dang loud, I can't handle it. Yes, there are some people like, I don't even notice it. It's It's probably one of the most quiet filtration devices I've ever had. I put that sucker in there and it's like, the bio wheel is never properly sitting in there. I get an aqua clear and everything's good to go for a while. And then the little plastic top somehow warps and then it's like, clack, 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 clack. No, I haven't experienced issues with the title other than when the water gets too low, it'll just go, and that's just being stupid. You should fill the water back up. But when it comes down to it, if you are going to spend $40 to $50 on a hang on the back filter, and you're already putting a canister on it, just buy yourself a $40 to $50 canister. They make them. It's a great backup, and you will fit more media in that canister than you would on the hang on the back. It's like 3 stages of filtration in life. And I'm not even going to talk about sponge filters. It's completely different. But you've got hang on the back, canister, and sump. Media, more media, most media. 1 to 1. So if you can do 2 of canisters because you're not going to do a sump, then do 2 canisters, especially because you can get a canister very inexpensive and probably the same price as what you would any one of those hang on the backs. I've been using C-Chem Stability for 1 week, then used it the 3rd week and still no cycle. So here's the dealio. You're too busy testing and waiting for those numbers. If you read the back of the bottle, it says, if you follow the instructions for 8 days, you can add fish on the 1st day. This is 100% factual. That's how I did that tank. That's how I did all of the 100-gallon tanks back at work at Universal Rocks. That's how I tell everybody to set up their tank. Matter of fact, and I'll blast him right now, Adam C. asked me if it would work. He used some seeded filtration. He was a little nervous, timid, used Stability, and he was like, dude, I'm a believer. And I was like, really? You doubted me telling? I didn't tell you that because I sold it. I sell it because I believe in it, or I have the capabilities to sell it. If I had the capabilities to sell Turbo Start, I would do that. But I just don't have the monetary funds with the business to buy a refrigerator and then make sure it gets to you in the proper amount of time. So that's why it is a perfect product to be picked up at your local fish store. But yeah, there is just, it works. So you're fixated on one thing. It's like, put gasoline in your car and start it up, right? But you're like, no, I got to put gasoline in the car, and then I got to turn on the windshield wipers and check those, and then I've got to make sure it has windshield wiper fluid and brake fluid and signal fluid. I've got to check all these things, and some of them don't even exist. If you're using Stability, you can add fish right away. Keep using it for 8 weeks. Make sure that if your pH is higher, that you're detoxifying the ammonia. I would recommend just detoxifying the ammonia anyways, because I believe that test kits are not 100% accurate and probably aren't very close to 100% accurate. And that's why everybody's like, 15 ppm nitrates with 700 fish in a 75-gallon, suck on it. And you're like, impossible. I'm sorry, it doesn't work out that way. Meanwhile, they didn't do the test right, or the test was expired, and they couldn't read it right, or they diluted it on purpose, or maybe they did because they do water changes every 7 seconds. It's completely up to them. How did C-Chem Stability work? I took your advice, 19 fish on day 3 and another 19 on day 4. Good grief. That's what I'm talking about. I just did the same thing with my 220, and Stability is awesome. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a. It really works. It really, to me, it's just the best. Why don't you keep cool fish? Jonathan Straczynski, because maybe I'm not a cool guy. And if you think those ugly, overgrown, meaty-looking, fat, larded fish that look like they fell out of some evil villain from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, then yes, I don't keep cool fish. But if you enjoy beautifully colored, amazing, energetic, semi-aggressive, and wonderful personality fish, maybe they don't rival some of the personalities as your ugly, fat, lumpy looking fish. But African cichlids are cool. They're cool. And you wear compression socks. You are the best. By the way, how high would you run with nitrates? 40. I think the highest I ever ran was 60, and I couldn't figure it out. This was way in the beginning of when I started keeping fish. And ultimately, I was able to lower it because I I was keeping just massive amounts of sand. I was never really keeping the flow good below to move all of the dudukakis out of the way. And yeah, now I haven't tested this tank yet, to be honest with you. I set it up and they're doing fantastic. I mean, I'm using a secret product right now that I can't talk about until I get authorization, but I've never seen the fish so, I don't want to say so active, but yes, there's something about them that's different, but we'll talk about that in another time. African cichlids are the best. Did you notice the dog has come in here like 4 or 5 times, like something's going to change? Crap, just reminded me to buy some stability on Tuesday, if you need it. I'm thinking of you using crust coral in my sump. Why? Do different altitudes have different effects on fish's behavior or health? Oh, absolutely, I'm sure. If there are different cooking instructions for specific items when you're at higher altitudes, I'm sure that the effectiveness of pretty much everything, to include oxygen in your aquarium, is different. And if anybody is from, let's say, Denver, it would be really nice to know if they have any problems or if they noticed anything. Those colors on the API kits are hard to read. I think they're hard to read on purpose. What can I do to raise my pH to help the bacteria from dying? I'm worried that's what's happening. Or should I do anything? All I got is Corey's. Sorry, new to fish keeping. I'm trying to wrap my head. No, Tech Turtle, do not apologize ever for being new to something, because everyone was new to something at some point. You walk into that room with your chest out, if shoulders back, head up, don't care if you, whatever, whoever you are, wherever you come from, and it is something new, you never apologize for being new. Ever. That's right. If you're not using some sort of bacteria and you have this massive aquarium with, what'd you say, a few Corys, it's hard to answer, and I don't think anybody can give you the right answer. We'd have to know more. We'd have to know, I mean, what do you want your pH to? Are the fish in there? Are they thriving? Are they just barely living? Do they look like they're struggling? But there's pH buffers you can buy. There's substrate, that you can buy. Wow. There's so many different things you can do to raise the pH. But somebody said, I'm officially a grandfather. My red zebra had babies today. Oh, man. Congratulations, Grandpa. King and Queen cichlids is here. I think that it is, actually, it's not impossible, but I wonder if Liz and Billy D are typing one at a time so that they're both technically together on this live stream. So if you don't know who they are, typically, because people are going to watch this video later, so you're like, what is he talking about? This is stupid. The King and Queen of cichlids on YouTube, on Facebook, they've been running this, I'm going to call them a cult classic. Let's put it that way. So if you've ever seen a cult classic movie, it's like, people look back on it and they're like, man, this was really cool. So Billy D and his wife are just really invested in the fish community. He's all over the place. I think he works at Dunder Mifflin Paper Company or something like that, or Stiff Wood. He does something. But he's in Pennsylvania, and I think it's Dunder Mifflin. But anyways, they're running, and I don't know if they're 100% sole in charge or they're the ones that created it. I don't know, but what I'm saying is, when it comes to understanding the Keystone class, those are the two that will always come up first. Yes, my dog is limping. And so if you don't know who they are, know them. You don't have to know them personally. You don't have to go, oh, Jay sent me, we love you. No, just go over there, check out what they're doing. They've got some really different stuff. They really put a different spin on it. I wish you would get better lighting. My lighting sucks tonight. As you can see, I'm using these like crazy lights because I'm trying to figure out this whole live thing from my office since it is the first time. I feel like this is intimate. But they're doing great stuff. They're invested from the American Cichlid Association to local clubs, to local fish stores, you name it, they do it. Go check them out, support them. They're some of the reasons that the fish keeping community thrive on the smallest levels. Because you have, and I'll use this, and you have people like Joey Mullins, the king of DIY, right? Goes to talking events, draws large crowds, has an amazing YouTube channel, does some phenomenal things when it comes to reaching so many people. And then you have the king and queen of cichlids, who I believe at this time probably have less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Doesn't change the fact of what they do and the impact that they have. They have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. They've got a really great reach when they get on Facebook. But what they do when the camera's off, I mean, I can't say how they are as human beings all the time. I know them. I think they're wonderful people, but I don't know them 100%. But what I know of them within the fish keeping hobby, their character is up here, way up here. So that is one thing you have to earn yourself. I heard somebody say one time, you're not born and then somebody comes into the hospital and says, here's your character, good on you. No, you build it, you learn it, it gets broken down, it gets shredded apart, and you continue to better yourself, because character is who you are when the cameras are off, when no one's looking, when the phone call's not ringing, and when everybody has their back turned. How you act, how you respond, and how you are as a person is character. And they, my friends, in the fish keeping hobby, have it. So go to the Clash of the Titan clans and all the cichlid stuff that they do, and go check them out. Candy Overhauls, thank you very much. I used to keep African cichlids, but I don't keep predator fish anymore. Well, you can still keep African cichlids that aren't predators. Predator haps are something that is, it's a two-folded term. They're predatory in the wild. Most of the time, I think they would probably be opportunistic eaters for most of it, but there are predatory behaviors that they display. For the most part, African cichlids are just semi-aggressive, and some of them can be bungholes. And I really think that Alanacara, aka peacock species, are bigger buttholes than most of Pseudotropheus. The only unclassed Pseudotropheus classed in Chidonga demasoni are probably the most evil little fish I've ever experienced in my entire life. No nitrates, no nitrites. Tech turtle, I highly recommend. I don't know if you're dipping, but go out and get yourself some stability. Follow the instructions. Don't test. 8 days. Don't feed. And you should be good to go. I know you absolutely despise Frontosa. That is wrong. But would you consider keeping any of the larger species from Lake Tanganyika? Petros, emperors, etc. I really like this question. And there's one more question on here, and I'll get to that here in a second. But I probably will never keep Frontosa. There's a couple of reasons why. One, I really enjoy brightly colored tanks. And when you have specific species of Frontosa, to me, that are more majestic, and I will use that word, than others, they are more deep fish. Most folks, I may blow your mind. Some may be like, you didn't blow my mind, you knucklehead. I knew that freaking when I was 7. But when they're catching wild-caught Frontosa, Petros, things like that, they have to depressurize them. So they'll go down, capture them, come up a certain meter, stop, hold them for a little bit, and then go back, get them, and bring them up to the surface. Typically, those depths of the lake, you can test me and check this out on the interwebs or any book that Odd Konings has written. It's darker. I like bright tanks, and I cannot lie. And I want a bright tank. And I don't feel with Frontosa I can do that. It would be more darker blue hued. It would be really cool. Also, to me, they are boring. I have them at work. I struggle to get rid of a Burundi, which is basically like the yellow lab of frontosa. But I can't keep them because they're like discus. I toyed with discus, but they're beautiful fish. I'm not taking that away. They're boring. They really are. They're like, you don't even know if they're off. Like they have an on and off switch. They're just like, no, can't do it. Sorry. They're beautifully big. They're majestic. It's not in my tanks. Petros, yes. I'm going to jump on a soapbox here because you brought up Petros, and I think this is a perfect time. I had plans to have Petrochromis species red. They are not Bulu Point. I repeat, let me get closer to the mic. Petrochromis species red, never have, never will. I can't say never will. Never have and do not come from Bulu Point. They are Petrochromis species red. And I don't know if I pronounce it properly, but I think it's Lamembe. They are from Lamembe. There is another collection point, but they are brown and not red. However, they have a reddish hue to them and they are ugly. So there was all this confusion a long time ago, and I got this information from many people. I got it from Butch Livingston. I got it from Odd Konings. I got it from Pam Chin. I got it from books. I don't get it from a backdoor anybody. I need to validate the information. Anything I do in the fish keeping hobby, I either have to validate with my own eyes and create my own process, or I have to physically hear it and match it with multiple sources. Even if I say something to you, know that I am being as credible as I can be because I have checked it. And if it is unchecked and you check me, then by golly, I will make sure that I change my statement. But Petrochromis red, species red, are not Bulu Point. They've never been caught from there. However, the reason why they use Bulu Point is because it was illegal to go into certain places to get them. So to create confusion about multiple things, about getting in and staying and getting enough time to get these species up to the surface because they're also deeper type species. There was all this makeshift, and money comes when you're dealing with anybody, when you're reselling, you're transshipping, or you're the person in Africa that needs food and you're providing for your family. So they would throw people off and say, oh yeah, we're getting them from Bulu Point, bruh. And then they come in and the person that didn't research, you're just like, woo, I'm about to make 15 bucks. Y'all can suck it. These are species red from Bulu Point. They're not. I'm gonna make 20 bucks. I'm gonna make 150 bucks. I'm gonna turn around and sell this fish for $400 because that's what I can get for it. Yeah, but it's not from Bulu Point. So then the real stuff circulates and it's like, look, it's, and I believe I'm saying it wrong, but Lamembe is where they're coming from. So it's Petrochromis, species red, and then the collection point, which is Lamembe, okay? So then it got to the point where people were just, anybody that can get them Petrochromis, species red, Bulu Point was like, get it. Enter, send money, Western Union, boom, boom, boom. Yo, African diver, get it for me. And then they were receiving these doo-doo brown Petrochromis, right? And they're like, do you know I paid this guy $2,500 to get me Petrochromis species red Bulu Point, and that's what they told me? But the problem is that diver didn't know what point to collect the actual red ones, and he was getting the doo-doo brown ones, but because nobody knew the real species and the real collection point, they were getting doo-doo brown ones for the same price as the red ones, and the red ones were the expensive ones in the trade. So, as I digress from all of that, you can get Petrochromis species red, and it has become very readily available. Matter of fact, Mike Cullens seems to be breeding those things like crazy. You can bring them in from Southeast cichlids. You can bring them in from various other places. I'm sure Dave's Rare Fish can get Petrochromis species red. So when I break down all those layers, I would rather re-educate and not keep that fish because it is just a fish people want to get. I don't want to have a fish just because everybody can get it, or Jay's African cichlids is about to get those reds. I'm going to get them first. You watch, mark my words, I'm going to find them. Aquabid, $300, you got to be dang near chitting me, man. $300. I'm going to get some other fish. So they've become popular. You can get them. I know enough about them. Yes, I had to learn. I didn't know all of this at first. And when it came down to it, they're probably, I wanted to keep some serious petros, but I was told by everyone, Pam Chan, Odd Konings, Butch Livingston, Dave Schumacher, Josh Cunningham, no. It was literally like I was reading off something and they're like, nope. So at the end of the day, the Petrochromis species that I do want to keep, chances are I won't be able to keep properly and they'll destroy each other. So I would love to keep them, but I just don't feel at this time the species that I would want has enough information out there. And so I will not be getting Petrochromis for that reason, because really reds and the tres can be picked up all the time. And Moshi Yellow are way too aggressive. You can ask anybody that's kept Moshi Yellows. If Josh Cunningham's still here, he can tell you the same thing. I don't want to put him on blast, but the dude spent a ton of money and the Moshis just went like, it was like, gone, one male left. I'm telling you, Petros are real. As far as keeping emperors, absolutely never, because I don't have the capabilities of keeping them. Just like I would tell anybody on here, don't care if you're my best friend, don't care if we just met. If you think you're going to keep a red-tailed catfish, you are a dummy. They get massive. They can weigh over 100 pounds. And emperors, I mean, they're 2 feet long plus. If I only kept them in a large tank, maybe, but that's not what I want to do. All right. Totally went off on a tangent. Apologize. Make sure to beef up. John Edwards, where did you get yours? Blah, 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 blah. I didn't get the tank given to me from a coworker that had given up and had a filter turned off. Okay, so everybody's helping Tech Turtle. That's what I'm talking about. I'll jump to this question. And then we got about 10 minutes left because really I don't want to run this any longer than that, than an hour. Have they ever sent fish to space? Serious question. I don't know. I don't see what effect it would have from testing anything, because they take oxygen differently. They process oxygen differently. They're encapsulated in water. We're encapsulated by air. So I don't see what benefit it would have at this time. But once we start figuring out how to keep humans out there, if that's what the goal is for this, then yeah, I can't see why we wouldn't be testing it, because you'd want to test the sustainability of some food source. So what are you going to do? Just rocket some plants and some deer out there and hope for the best? Or, you know, you're going to try to do something that's self-sustainable, quickly producing, can feed, then you can stock some things. I have no idea. But as of right now, I don't think we've ever sent fish to space. Let's see. How about dwarf species? Any interest? I don't really have interest. You know, that's the same thing I talked about earlier. Like, everybody gets on this kick. I've been really enjoying shell dwellers for Liam. I really enjoy shell dwellers over the last year and a half, 2 years. And I started noticing that it's increasingly more popular. And what I notice is that smaller species are very popular. Nano species are very popular. Nano tanks are very popular. Aquascaping is becoming increasingly more popular. I keep shell dwellers. They're small. They're mini. I enjoy them. I can see myself keeping more. But as far as diving into other dwarf species, I don't foresee myself. Motor Craze, Bob Medeiros, Jay, did you ever keep? No, I can't pronounce it. I'm gonna try. Ophthalmotilapia. I've never kept them, so no. Night Gang, Rock On Jay, remember Billy D loves you. I love you too, Billy D. The dude really looks like Billy D Williams. Jay, what temperature should you keep your water for your African cichlids? Depends on what type you're keeping, honestly. I don't keep my tanks very warm. because I believe when it's a little cooler, they're not as aggressive. My son is jamming right over here. They're not as aggressive and they seem to do much better. So I think this tank's at like 74-ish. You want to come and talk to the folks on live? You can see yourself? Let's pause this. So Liam likes to run around and do trucks and stuff. So look, bud. Look at you. I think he has shiitakes in his diaper. Golly, dude. This is your first time on live and you already just ruined your pants. Throw some boomerangs at Petrochromis in space. That's where it's at. Say hi to everybody. Say hi. Good. Say hi to everybody. There you go. So Liam has a routine, and this is not fabricated. This is absolute truth. This little guy, when I come home from work between 6:45, we hang out for a little bit. I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes. He tells me everything he needs to tell me in his language. And then he grabs my hand. He takes me to this tank. He opens the door, hands me the food. And as I'm opening the food, he grabs this chair, brings it to the tank, and we sit there and watch the fish eat every day. The reason why I'm telling you this is because repetition and stability of aquariums is important. But it's also important when you're trying to teach things in life as well. So I don't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday, but I was beat, wrecked. I wanted to go to the doctors because I was hurting something fierce. And I'm sitting on the couch and he's doing, and I was like, dude, I don't know what you want. I'm sorry. You've got everything you need. Long story short, I got off the couch and dude had already pulled the chair up. He had the food on the chair, wasn't open yet, and he was ready to rock and roll with the tank. I was almost in tears. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it was awfully cool. So do your fish detect earthquakes over there before you feel it yourself? I have not noticed that. The worst experience I ever had with fish and earthquakes, however, was I was in the aquarium doing some work and we had, I believe it's like a 3.5 in Oklahoma. And boy, was I scared. I wasn't necessarily scared that the tank was going to explode. I was more concerned that it was going to explode and I was going to get cut up. When I come home, Joey always wants to go to the fish room and feed the tanks. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's the good stuff. Routine, like right now, we're taking everything out. I'm late. Glad to see you back live. Corey Hecker, it's good to see you. What do you think about mixing Africans and Central and South Americans? I've seen a lot of videos lately. I've also seen a lot of videos about hate. And hate isn't a good thing either. So mixing South American and Central Americans will never be something that I condone, promote, or agree with. There are too many different things that these fish require, including diet and space, that I don't think you can provide when you mix them together. If that was the case, you can put them all in the same lake. But what will happen is the more invasive species will destroy all of the other stuff for the other fish, then in turn killing them off. It's happening in the world today, especially in the disgusting flower horn trade. The non-humped males that get dumped back into an area end up eating a specific food and just really terrorizing it because it's not from that area. And ultimately, what are they going through? 2,000 fish and they get 5 or 6 that look good? And they dump all these other fish and then bang. You start losing other species because, well, I mixed them in a 55-gallon and it worked mighty fine in 1977. Well, it's 2018 and it clearly doesn't work because we're losing species because of invasive type things that were never once ever supposed to be there. So no, don't do it. I don't care who does it. I don't care, honestly, I don't care who does it. They shouldn't do it. And if they're promoting it, they're silly. They're very silly. What are you doing with this backup? You can't do anything with that. So a couple more questions, then we're going to end it. We got about 14 minutes. We got Liam now. Where's Mindy? I doubt she'll come on camera. Let's see. Somebody retracted their statement. Thanks for the help. Love the content. I've been watching a crap ton of fish tube. Awesome tech turtle. Enjoy. I hope you find whichever it is you're looking for. How much longer on pre-orders? So if you're talking about the cool fish shirt, that will not be for sale. It is available on northfinusa.com. And it will be a very choose fish t-shirt. It's got a polarizing Democratic logo, Republican logo, and smack dab in the middle is Northfin USA's logo with the check mark under it. I think it's perfect for this time because I think fish takes us out of this nonsense of people spewing hate from left to right, to north to south. And I find refuge within family fun and fish keeping. And I couldn't find a better way to do it than to put it on a t-shirt. So it will end Tuesday, and then that's it. And we have them made, and then we ship them out to those who have got it done. Jay, hope to see more to YouTube live in the future. Have a good evening. Enjoy your Labor Day. I have 13 5 to 6 inch haps getting along great in a 220. I wanted to add 5 more haps, but really are anxious about disrupting the tank balance. Why do you want to add 5 more? If your tank is harmonized, why change it? That's the question you need to ask yourself. If the answer is because you really want those fish, then you're going to have to, unfortunately, deal with the consequences of what may transpire. May not. It may be perfectly fine. But if you are going to do those 5 species, then I would definitely recommend doing only those 5 species and doing them all at one time. Jay, how much longer till sweaters are coming for the winter? I may do a pre-order for them as well. It becomes very hard as a business to hold on to a lot of material when you're just a little business. I mean, I got a blog coming out that I really hope you guys read because it really talks about why Northfin USA and why we do what we do. We really have a bunch of different things on this desk right now. Oh, no. He's already bringing up software issues. But at the end of the day, I will probably do a pre-order for those. And if you pre-order, you'll get it, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, Jay is our representative for the fish party. I am not. I'm a newbie. Thank you very much for this channel and all the advice. 415 boxing anytime. Anytime you need information, we are always here. And if somebody's not there or they're a jerk, well, they could go suck on a bottle of Prime. All right, so I'll leave it. One more question. Fire up a doozy. Anything you want to know, you've got 1 minute because this guy's diaper is absolutely horrendous. Hui. Oh, there's Mindy. She's going to take him. No, he's fine. He's fine. He's already been sitting in the doo-doo point brown.
Did you save that for Daddy?
He did. Oh. Whew. Mindy was in the house for like 7 seconds. How is your son's beta tank? It's actually doing really well. I won't take that as an off-the-wall question because that's a video that'll be like a minute. It's still alive. He's eating. He's doing great. What's going on, Palmer Fish Q&A? One fish you would put with mycorrhizae in a 26-gallon tank. Some sort of tetra. Maybe like 7 to 10 lemon tetras or code brown. Code brown! What was the code from Monsters, Inc.? 7 to 10, let me finish this. 7 to 10 lemon tetras, 7 to 10 neon tetras, but I would probably do cardinal tetras. Or rummy nose, just like Troy said, those are amazing. But does anybody remember the code when they would get some sort of human thing stuck to their back in Monsters, Inc.? What was that called? Somebody said, what are my thoughts on koi angels? Evil. Evil. Man, I had a koi angel that destroyed every angel I had. So, all right, folks, it's 9:01. Unless something crazy comes through, I'm going to end this as I put all this stuff back. I appreciate your support. Hit the subscribe button. The only thing it does is it helps get a lot of my content out in front of people. It helps get the information that I work hard on researching, studying, and then trying to get it out in the simplest manner to folks that need it at the right time. You don't have to hit the notification bell. That's great if you do. Commenting on the video works wonders. But all around, just being here, checking out northfinusa.com, keeping what we do relevant is all I ask. That's it. I appreciate everything you guys do, girls do, friends, fish keepers, fellow comrades, everything. It is awesome. 2319. That's what it is. Thank you very much, Candy. Code 2319. How many long fin white clouds in a 300 gallon? 300. A lot, especially depending on the filtration. When will you be live again? Need to watch. I don't know. I'll discuss that with the family because these are much easier to do than making a video and getting it out. But I also am taking an hour of time on a Sunday or a Wednesday or a Friday away from not only him, but my wife as well, because, well, if anybody has children, you know, at this age, you don't really communicate with your significant others in any ways other than, here, take him. Or he has a poopy diaper, or his day was great.
Oh, watch.
You never get to the nitty gritty, and this 2319 is disgusting. Folks, I'm ending this bad boy. I don't know how, but if I don't and something weird happens, I apologize. If I nip slip on you, all right, I'm sorry, okay? The 29, I think it's on my leg. You know what's next. Holla!